So it's JP back with week 3 predictions. But before we begin, let's take a look to see how I did last week. So week 2 wasn't much better than week 1. I went 7-9 with my head-to-head just straight up picks, and I went 0-2-1 with my against the spread picks. So I had the Eagles covering the spread, and unfortunately that game kind of got crazy. They owned the time of possession. They seemed to be rolling, and then they gave up some points. They had a long drive in it where they didn't even score anything. They missed a field goal in the first half, so just got some unfortunate breaks that didn't go my way. So they they pushed on that one, and then I had the Cleveland Browns coming through on Monday Night Football. They couldn't hold on to the football. They were outgaining Pittsburgh. Of course, Chubb went out. That hurt them, and they just couldn't hold on to that game. Controversial non-call on a potential pass interference to end the game. I probably could have changed things a little bit. Deshaun Watson didn't look incredible, but the Browns were in that game. They just couldn't put it away. That late fumble just did them in. And the other game that I was incorrect on, I had the Giants to cover the spread against the Cardinals. Well, the Giants had a great comeback in the second half, but they just played so poorly in the first half that they got themselves in such a hole that it was really hard to cover. As the game went on and time was winding down, it was in their best interest to just kind of sit on the ball and run out the clock. So they did that, kicked the game winning field goal, and then it wasn't enough points to cover the spread that they had. So 2 weeks in a row, Arizona covers the spread. Go figure. I knew they were a lousy team, but yet here they are hanging tough. One interesting fact about this past weekend was 12 of the games were one score games. So they were close. These are close matchups. These are types of games that one possession could make or break the game. A turnover here. Some oddities that happen, like the Chargers, they have yet to turn the ball over, and they're scoring all these points. I think they've scored 58 points in their first 2 games combined, and yet they're 0-2. So it's just some weird things going on. It's still kind of hard to figure out what team is going to be good and which team is not. We're already seeing some major injuries play a factor. Running backs had a rough week this past week. Chubb, obviously, terrible thing that happened to him. And then on top of that, you had Saquon Barkley go out. He's going to be out for like 3 weeks, I think. And then you also have Austin Eckler of the Chargers. I don't think there's an exact time frame for his return yet. So you know, the big debate coming into this season was, running backs aren't getting paid enough. But then you look and you see all these injuries. That position's taking so many, brutal hits that it's hard to last through the season. And teams are starting to realize like they need more than one running back on the roster. And so to afford that and to spread their money, it doesn't bode well for the running back position. I think they're probably going to have to come up with something in the next collective bargaining agreement where running backs are allotted a certain threshold of money, because otherwise you're going to just see more and more teams just kind of go with this like running back by committee, just because the health, and even teams are going to start to look at like, hey, some weeks just resting my guy. Like Christian McCaffrey is taking on a huge load right now, and yeah, he's doing well, but like with his injury past, like if I'm the 49ers, I'm going to probably look to get, Mitchell involved, or, what other running backs they have on their team to try to offset some of the load that he's taken on, because he's taken a lot of reps, a lot of hits, a lot of snaps. It's a long season too. And I think, 2 weeks in, you've already had Aaron Rodgers done, you've already had Nick Chubb done, and these are big players. These aren't just like, replaceable talent. This is going to shake up things quite a bit. So I'm going to do better moving forward. So right now, my season record, I'm 14-18 in my straight up picks, my head to head picks. And so without any more rambling, let's get into this week's picks. Interestingly enough, it seems like there's some likely blowouts coming this weekend following a week of a lot of close games. So let's get started. Thursday night football. New York Giants travel to San Francisco to take on the 49ers. The New York Giants struggled to beat the Arizona Cardinals, let's face it. And if they struggled that much, with them, they stand a chance against the 49ers, especially without Saquon Barkley, one of their most potent offensive weapons. 49ers didn't look amazing against the Rams. Brock Purdy missed the long ball, but they're such a well-rounded team. I could see them dominating this game tomorrow night. We got the Falcons at the Lions. Well, Falcons are 2-0. Desmond Ritter's played well enough to get them there. The Lions were a little disappointing against the Seahawks. They kind of took a step back after that impressive opening football game on Thursday night against the Chiefs. I think the Lions will bounce back here. They're playing at home. I still think they're a good squad. Maybe they're not quite as good as many people were thinking they were. I still think they're good. I think they'll make the playoffs, but they're not going to dominate. That's for sure. Bills at the Commanders. I mean, Bills got it going again last weekend against the Raiders. They look like last year's Bills team when they were going well. Um, Josh Allen played much better than he did on Monday night against the Jets. And then the Commanders had a nice comeback victory against the Broncos in Denver, held on to it. And, Sam Howell is looking like one of the more promising young quarterbacks in this league. In a league that has a lot of question marks at quarterback, the Commanders look like they found their guy. I still think the Bills will win this game, but, you know, the Commanders struggled with the Cardinals in week one, but, nice performance on the road against Denver. I'll take the Bills. Bears at the Chiefs. As you remember, Patrick Mahomes felt slighted by the Bears for not being drafted by them, so he's going to be in full revenge mode. Justin Fields does not see the field very well right now. He's not going through his progressions. He's, staring down his receivers. Defenders just have to watch his eyes to see where he's going to go with the ball. He's not moving around in the pocket. Their defensive coordinator just resigned. The Bears look like a mess right now, and I can't pick them, especially on the road against the Chiefs team. I think the Chiefs are going to get their offense going this week. They've kind of struggled a little bit thus far, but they got Patrick Mahomes. It's only a matter of time before they start to click. Now that Travis Kelce's back in the fray, they're going to be fine. I'll take the Chiefs there. Denver Broncos at the Miami Dolphins. Man, Denver almost came back and tied that game to send it to overtime, but they failed the 2-point conversion against the Commanders. Russell Wilson, he had a nice performance last weekend, but they kind of let the lead slip away. And then you got the Dolphins. Dolphins look really impressive right now. Remember last year they started out really strong out of the gates as well. So Tua looks like the real deal, and I think he was the first quarterback to go 5-0 against Bill Belichick, which is really impressive when you think about it. So I'm going to go with the Dolphins at home here. I think they're going to have too much going on. I don't think Denver's going to be able to stop that offense. You got Houston Texans at the Jacksonville Jaguars. CJ Stroud wasn't able to come back against the Colts. He's been putting up some stat lines, but they're kind of in these come from behind fashion type games. And then Jacksonville Jaguars, they haven't looked quite so good this year. I think this might be their get right game. Trevor Lawrence had trouble getting any points against the Chiefs. They failed in the red zone a couple times in that game. I'm going to go with the Jaguars here just because I think they're the better team and they're playing at home. Got the Colts at the Ravens next. Anthony Richardson got injured in the last game. I mean, he's shown some talent, but 2 weeks in a row he's suffered some injuries. So they got to learn to protect him. He's got to learn to protect himself if they're gonna, rely on him and build around him. Ravens have looked really good thus far. Lamar Jackson's got to be one of the earlier season MVP candidates. They've been impressive in their two victories. I'm going to go with the Ravens at home here. I just think they're a better team. Chargers at the Vikings. Well, the Chargers keep on charging, finding ways to lose. And the Vikings, well, the Vikings are 0-2. Both teams were in the playoffs last year. At this point, they both might not make the playoffs this year. We'll see. I'm going to go with the Chargers, but I don't feel very confident about it. I mean, Justin Jefferson's going to carve up the Chargers. I can almost guarantee that. But I just think the Chargers are due. I mean, I guess the Vikings are due as well, but I'm going to just go with the Chargers here. Patriots at the Jets. Man, a lot was made about Bill O'Brien coming and being an offensive coordinator of the Patriots. So far, they haven't looked that impressive to me on offense. Mac Jones has spurts of looking great, but then there's times where they just don't look good. They're not moving the ball really well. It takes them a while to get down the field. I mean, they hung tight with the Dolphins, give them credit on that. Zach Wilson had a tough week against Michael Parsons and the Cowboys. That's a tough matchup. I think he's getting a little bit too much criticism, to be honest. I know Aaron Rodgers came out and said, he's going to try to be back for the playoffs. But I mean, at this rate, I don't know if there's any guarantee the Jets will even be in the playoffs, first. And then second, if the Jets do get to the playoffs, it'd be kind of insulting to whatever quarterback is leading them to the playoffs to have them be benched in favor of an aging quarterback coming off of a major injury. But I understand his competitive nature. I can appreciate where he's coming from, but I think the Patriots win this game. I just think they're due. Bill Belichick's still a great coach. They're still going to be competitive. They've been in both their games this year. I think they're going to win that game. Saints at the Packers. Well, the Saints are 2-0, and I don't know what to think of the Packers just yet, but I'm going to lean with the Packers here just because they're playing at home. And the Saints are coming off a Monday night game where they didn't look that good against the Carolina team that really wasn't doing very much. Uh, that's pretty much all I'm going to go with. But Jordan Love had an easy week one Bears opponent, and then didn't look amazing against Atlanta. But I'm going to go with the Packers. Titans or Browns. Obviously, we know Nick Chubb is out, but they did re-sign Kareem Hunt to the team. He knows that organization really well. He's been with them the last couple of years, so hopefully they can plug and play him somewhat. Deshaun Watson hasn't looked that great. The Titans won a close game against the Chargers. Got to give them credit for coming back and taking the lead in overtime. And I'm going to go with the Browns here. I know they're coming off a short week. Their defense has been great. I mean, you got to factor in like 14 of those Steelers points were off turnovers, an interception on the first play, the scoop and score late with Watt. So, I mean, that's not Cleveland's defense fault. That's the offense just turned the ball over. So, I'm going to go with the Browns there. Next, we have the Panthers at the Seahawks. And the Seahawks got right against the Lions. They looked a lot better. Panthers, their offense is struggling with their rookie quarterback. I think it's going to continue to struggle for a bit. Going to Seattle with the 12th man, it's going to be a hectic atmosphere for a rookie quarterback to navigate. I'm going to go with Seattle there. I think they're going to win that game. Dallas Cowboys, Arizona Cardinals. I think it's an obvious pick there. Arizona is just not a great team. They've hung tight, the first two games, but I just think they're gonna lose this game, and I don't think it'll be close. I think Dallas is rolling. Michael Parsons is a bad man. He's another early season MVP candidate. Next, you got the Steelers at the Vegas Raiders. This is a hard game to call. I know Davante Adams had a concussion. I'm not sure if he's going to play in this game. Steelers come off of an exciting Monday night win. Their defense looked better than their offense, but I think their offense is due to get right, and I think the Steelers are going to pull this one out. So I'm going to go with the Steelers there. Eagles, Bucks. I think the Eagles have yet to play a full 4 quarters, and I think this game might be their first game that they do it. Uh, they're a little rusty. I don't think their starters got enough reps in the preseason, but they're starting to find their stride with the running game. Obviously, that was dominant in their last matchup, and they're forcing a lot of turnovers. I think this time Baker Mayfield's going to have a lot of pressure in his face. I think the Bucks are a nice story. Baker Mayfield's playing good football, but I think the Eagles are going to be too much for him. I'm going with Philly. Next, you have the Rams at the Bengals. Rams have been playing good football, and they lost last week against the 49ers, but they played tough. And they're still obviously without Cooper Kupp. That's a big loss, but they've found some receivers out of thin air, it seems like, and they've been able to make it work. And then you got the Bengals, and I don't know if Joe Burrow is going to play, so that really affects this game a lot. I'm going to say if Joe Burrow is able to play, I'm going to pick the Bengals to win this game. However, if he does not suit up or start for the Bengals, I'm going to pick the Rams to win it. So kind of one of those wishy-washy picks, but it's hard to tell if he's going to play. There's been no word on if he is or not. So I think right now I'm going to go with the Bengals as long as he plays. So without further ado, let's go for my against the spread picks coming up this week. I'm going to go with the 49ers minus 11. I think they're just a better team than the Giants, and without Barkley, the Giants are going to struggle to score, especially against that 49er defense. They're going to be tough. I just don't think it'll be a close game, especially since it's in San Francisco. The next game I have another blowout I see coming. Dallas Cowboys. They're just playing too good of football. Right now they're at minus 11.5. I'm going to pick that just because they're rolling. Dak Prescott looks great. Their defense looks great. I don't think Arizona's going to be able to score enough to keep it close. Next, I have the Philadelphia Eagles -4.5. I know they're going on the road, but I just think they're that much better than the Bucks. I don't trust that Baker Mayfield's going to be able to have enough time to be able to make good decisions in this game. I think the Eagles are going to be in his face a lot. So I'm going to go with the Eagles, especially they had a couple of extra days to rest since they played last Thursday. And then I also have the New England Patriots -2.5 against the Jets. I just think Bill Belichick, he's going to put together some game plan that's going to get them in the W column. I mean, the last time that the Patriots started a season 0-2 was 2001. I just do not see them going 0-3. I mean, that would be crazy. I guess anything can happen, but especially with Zach Wilson back there, I think the Patriots are gonna get a victory, and I think it'll be but more than 2.5 points. I got a couple totals plays for you. Bills at Commanders. I got it going over 43 points. I think both teams can put up points. I don't think that's a high number. I think the Bills have a good enough offense, and obviously the Commanders have been scoring a little bit. So I'm gonna go with over in that. And then the other game I'm going to go with the over, Philadelphia, Tampa Bay. It's at 45.5. I think both teams can put up some points. Eagles defense hasn't been dominant. They let some loose scores, blown coverages. They've had some injuries. I don't know if all their guys are going to be back in that game. So I could see their defense letting up on a couple of occasions and giving up some scores. Bucks do have some good receivers. So anyway, those are my picks. Thank you for watching, and hopefully I do much better this week. I'm going to get in the W column, that's for sure.